Hello, I'm Max Hamilton and I'm an illustrator from Sydney. Today I'm going to show you how to draw this little character from the book When the Waterhole Dries Up that I illustrated, and it was written by Kay Bailey. So if you can grab yourself some paper or a sketchbook, some lead pencils, and if you like we can also colour up our illustrations. So you can grab some, I've got here some colour pencils and watercolour paints. So I'll give you 5 minutes to grab your things and we'll get drawing in a minute. Thank you. So in When the Waterhole Dries Up, the little boy has a lot of different facial expressions, which I'll show you how to draw in a moment. Like this one, he's got a big smile on his face because he's getting ready to jump in that nice bubble bath that he's running. And on this page, he's got a sort of a concentrating face. I don't know about you, but when I'm concentrating, I often stick my tongue out. Here, he's sort of got a frustrated face. And here, he's got a surprise face. And this page, he's laughing. So I'll show you a few ways to come up with those different expressions on your characters. So firstly, when I'm drawing a character, I do lots of different sketches to come up with how I want him to look. And for this little guy, I thought he could have a nice round friendly face. So today we're going to just draw a really light circle on your page to start off to draw his face. Actually, we can even draw 4 circles next to each other to get all the faces drawn. Then I add in his ears, which are 2 little half circles, and his hair. So he's got a bit of a rough sort of scruffy hair, so I just use scruffy sort of lines. Bit of hair sticking up in the middle. And you could have this as a girl with pigtails, a little boy with curly hair. It's just however you like. And the fun thing about illustrating and drawing is you can just create these characters however you want them to look. It's up to you. Okay, so there he is. And we're going to give him, for this face, he's going to have a smiley face because he's thinking about that lovely bubble bath he's about to have. So I just draw in a little smile, and he has a little button nose. And for When the Waterhole Dries Up, I gave the Outback boy just little oval dark black eyes. Sometimes I draw in blue eyes and pupils, but for this one I just gave him simple little eyes, and that's again up to you how you want them to look. And we could always draw in his neck, 2 little curvy lines. And his shirt. I won't draw his shirt on every face. There he is. When you're drawing, you can draw roughly. You can always go in and finalize things later. So here we go. We're going to draw his hair again. I'll just draw it roughly so we don't focus too much on those same parts. And on this face, he's going to have a surprise look, like what I showed you in the book where that kangaroo was jumping into his bath. So to give him a surprise look, I might change his eyes a little bit to be, they're a bit more open. And he's got an eyebrow up. And then his mouth, I find the mouth is a great thing to do to show different expressions. So instead of having his little smiley, calm sort of mouth, he is going to have an open mouth. As if he's going, ah, what is that? So there he is. And for this one, we're going to make him laugh because maybe those animals are doing silly things in the bath, making him laugh. Draw his ears and his hair. And this is the thing too about being a children's book illustrator. You have to be a pretty patient person because you have to draw the same characters over and over again for the whole book. And these guys maybe don't look exactly the same But when I'm doing a book, I have to make sure that they look like the same person all the way through the book, or the same animal all the way through. It's quite important for that consistency of character. So in this boy is going to be laughing. So he's going to have 2 little lines for his eyes in this one. And his little nose is there again. And his mouth is going to have a bit of a smiley line. But then I'm going to have a big open mouth. And I'll draw his tongue. So he looks like he's having a really good laugh at those animals. And the last one will be the frustrated boy. You might hear my puppy dog wriggling around in the background. Sorry about that. So this is the boy that's trying to take his sock off. So he has his nose is a bit more scrunched up and his eyes are sort of squinting. So I draw 2 arrow sort of shapes to make it look like he's squinting, his eyes closed, and his mouth. I draw a curvy sort of mouth as if he's pulling that sock off. So there we have it. Now with things like this, you can obviously do a lot of different expressions. I sometimes look in the mirror and pull faces at myself, so I get the different sort of way my mouth is going in, which direction it's going in, or my eyebrows and things like that. Also, you can take selfies and then look at them. And obviously these are really simple drawings, but you can use your own face in the mirror as a really good guide of how to draw these expressions. We can then transfer these same sort of expressions onto an animal as well. And, you know, often animals in children's books have a little bit of character. They don't always have to look realistic. So I'm going to draw the little koala. So his shape, the shape of his face is a bit more pointy. And he has 2 little pointy ears. And a little bit of fur on the top of his head. And then he has a bit of a light patch for his nose and his mouth. And for the koala, I gave him rounder eyes, and they're a bit lower down on his face. He has a little pointy nose with 2 little nostrils and a little smiley mouth. So there's the koala looking smiley. We can go a bit further, give him a bit of a body as well, a little fluffy body. He has spots, so I draw some furry spots on my koala. That's probably a little bit too pointy actually. I'll just curve that off a bit more. A few more spots. And then the koala. Again. Sometimes I find too, the more you draw a character, the better it gets. So practicing is a really good thing to do. If you really love drawing, just draw lots and you'll get better and better the more you do. And this one, the koala's looking surprised. I'm going to do some little eyebrows up the top. And this little nose. And he's got his mouth open, looking surprised. We'll do now the koala with a laughing face like the little boy. Shot my pencil. My dog is just stretching in the background, making funny yawning noises. Sorry about that. So now this little koala is laughing like the little boy. So he has his eyes are a bit lower, so we draw 2 little lines. draw his little nose in again. And he's going to have a big smiley laughing face. And lastly, a bit of a frustrated face for this squirrel. And the best thing about illustrating and drawing is you can use whatever materials you like. Some people love to use pen and ink, dip ink. I use that sometimes, but I find that I make big mistakes that annoy me and I can't rub them out. So I like to use pencil. Some people use a computer as well, which is pretty cool. Just depends on what you like to do. There's no right or wrong, it's just whatever you like doing. Oh, that's a bit high actually. A bit lower down for the little quoll. There he is, with his little concentrating sort of face on. So there we go. Now I'll show you how I add some colour to my illustrations, and you can either just keep drawing with the black and whites, or you can join in with the showing you how to add the watercolour. Thank you so much for watching. Okay, so I'm going to show you how I colour up my illustrations with watercolour. So that's why I draw quite lightly. I don't want the line work to smudge when I add the water or be too dominant. So I've mixed up a skin colour. You can make the colour lighter or darker, but depending on how much pigment you add or how much water. The more water, the lighter the colour. And I always have a piece of paper towel close by to dab and a piece of paper to test my colour on before I add it to my final illustration. I'm adding in all the skin colour first while I've got that on my brush. And I'm just going really quickly so it doesn't take me too long to show you. Usually you have to wait for each colour to dry before you go and add another colour, but just for today I'll keep going. Unless you actually want the colours to run and mix together, which is also a really nice effect. You can add different colours and they'll blend in together. So I'm going to use some dark brown for his hair. A little bit of hair sticking up. And he also has little dark brown boots, so I'll add those in while I've got the brown. And a stripy shirt, sorry, a checky shirt I should say. Sometimes when I'm coming up with a character, I'll try them with different clothes. At first this little boy had a stripy shirt, and then we thought a checky shirt would suit him better. I find that part quite fun, deciding what they're going to wear. If something's a bit dark, you can just dab it off with your paper towel. It quickly lifts off the page before it dries. So he has his grey stripes added. I'll let them dry for a minute. Add in his blue shorts. So it's a lot like colouring in with coloured pencils or textures. You're just moving the paint around for the first layer of paint. And usually what I'll do is go back in and add in shadows with another layer of paint, or add in different colours. Like I could go back and add a little bit of a shadow down the side there, and a shadow on this side. Makes it look a bit more 3D. And then I'm going to add some vertical blue lines to make his checky shirt. So I'll add those in. And now he has a check shirt. A little bit of lighter blue for his turned up shorts. And some grey socks. And then what I would often do is go back, as I said, now that skin colour's dried, I might change my brush to a smaller brush and add a little shadow on the side of his face with the same colour but just less water added in. There's a shadow in his ears, even a little bit on his little nose. Oh, and he's got a band-aid too, so I might just paint that in. No skin colour band-aid. Just get that bit off the side. There you go. So there you go. Now what I'll do is wait for that to dry, and I'll show you in a minute how I add in some detail with coloured pencil. It's probably not quite as dry as I would usually like, but anyway, it's dry enough. I've waited a few minutes. So now I get my coloured pencils and I go in and I can add in a bit of detail, a bit more scruffy hair. To this little boy. You can use different shades of brown to add a bit more depth to the illustration. Even add in some little rosy cheeks, just a tiny bit, little pressing really lightly. Go in with my lead and make his eyes a bit darker. And his smile, or a black pencil, depends on what you prefer. I sometimes go over my pencil lines as well once I'm happy with it. Make them a bit darker once I've done my watercolour painting. Now I might just get a bit of brown and add a bit of dirt to his shirt as well, where he's got a bit dusty, and maybe even some dirt on his arm. He's looking very dirty, ready to jump in that bath. And a bit of dirt on his leg. And Go in with my blue pencil and add a bit of shadow as well. It's really up to you how much detail you want to add or how loose you'd like to leave it. I tend to be a bit of a details person, but everybody's different. Can even add a bit more of that shadowing with a colour pencil. A bit more detail on the boots. Might even give him a little bit of a shadow. And a bit of brown, dusty outback brown. And there you have it. There's our little outback boy, from starting off with the different facial expression sketches to now coloured up in watercolour. I hope you've enjoyed this how to draw, and thank you so much.